Hello, I'm Tony Youngs. Termites can totally destroy an investment property. So when you're out looking to buy investment property, you need to know how to look over the house to see if it has any evidence of termites. In this video today, we're going to teach you how to do a termite inspection. All you'll need is a screwdriver and a flashlight, and you just walk around the house inside and out, and Pete's going to show you how to look. So let's go with Pete through the property and find out how to do this termite inspection.
Hi, today the focus of our video is to be a termite inspection. We're going to show you how you can go and actually do exactly what the pros would do looking for termites on any of your properties. What you're going to need is a flashlight and a screwdriver. Follow me. Here in Georgia, the termites that we have come from the ground up into wood. Chances are they can travel through concrete, but normally they go from where there's ground to wood. So what you'd want to do, the first thing, is come in here to the basement with your flashlight and come up. And up here is going to be what's called the bottom plate. It's a 2x4 that goes along the top of your concrete foundation here. And what you want to do is you want to go through the whole entire downstairs and check with your screwdriver, looking for rot or any kind of sawdust coming from any of these portions here. Now, if you're in any other state, then you would want to go around and look at any of your floor joists. You'd want to look at any of your framework, any of your headers, any of that kind of stuff, and look for evidence of sawdust or rotted wood, because you're going to find that, like in Florida, one of the main places that get infested is in the attic area, as opposed to Georgia, which is normally from the foundation up. So depending on what state you're at, you would want to check those things. So once you've gone all the way around the top plate in your whole downstairs, then you want to check your hidden areas. After you've walked around doing your top plate, or actually the bottom plate that's on top of this concrete, then what you want to do is come into your remote areas, turn on your flashlight, and basically check everything, including your built fixtures and your shelves. These fixtures in here, you want to check and make sure that where they meet the ground, any place that they meet, you want to get in there with your screwdriver and make sure that there's no rotted areas. And remember, always get in the tight corners. Always get into the places that are hard to reach. Those are going to be the places that you would find might have more apt to have termites, because you don't notice them. And those are the places where they'll turn up most, is the places that you just can't see them as evident. Once again, if you're in other states other than southern states, go ahead and look at all of your rafters, all of your beams, right up in here, all of your framework. So all of this looks pretty good in here. Okay, we're going to look down here in the wall section right here. And what you want to do is make sure that you've got good and solid wood all along the foundation, all along the bottom floor here, in which we do. Everything's nice and solid in here. You've got a little water that's come in from a rain, but this is not anything to do with termites. It's not got anything to do with wood rot. So in this particular instance, we're okay. And you would go around the entire floor that's exposed that you could find and go ahead and poke with your screwdriver. I'm using a flat-bladed screwdriver. That would be the best thing that I would suggest for you to use. Okay. Once you complete doing that, what you want to do is you want to walk around and actually look at all parts, just to make sure that you have not overlooked anything. And this is exactly what your professionals would be doing also. They would just be walking around and looking for any kind of sawdust or any kind of rotted wood that would be up there. Now I want to emphasize this point. Up here where you have your cap that goes over the concrete, remember we said we were looking for sawdust and also for the rotted wood, but see this part right here, this has holes in it, whereas this part is closed off. So you'd be less apt to get termites coming up through this open part, but they would climb up this concrete wall part here and get into that. Now, if you had seen holes drilled in the walls throughout this concrete, that means that it's been treated for termites before. And should somebody have found termites, then what they would do is they would drill holes into the concrete and put chemicals into the concrete walls to stop the termites from coming up through the concrete. So therefore, you can tell if your house has been treated already or the one that you're looking at if there is holes in the concrete, which shows where they've been treated. Now remember, you're not going to be starving for time here. Go ahead and walk through and make sure that you get a good look at everything. There's nothing hard or strenuous about it, but overlooking anything could mean the difference of finding termites and not. So just take your time and have a good light and just walk around and take a look. Now, once you feel good about the situation being under control on the inside and you haven't found any signs of termites, let's go ahead and walk to the outside and we'll show you the pointers on where to look there. On the outside of the house, your termite pro is going to be looking for signs of like dirt daubers, which may look like little mud tunnels. These are how termites sometimes find their way from the ground or the concrete into the wood. Another thing that they look for is this has to be on concrete. Okay, all wood coming down, all wood is supposed to be on concrete, which you can see that this right here is definitely on concrete. What you'd want to do is dig this dirt away because this provides some sort of haven for termites to get into. And then what you do is you'd make sure that you have good solid wood here and there's no signs of termites at this point. But it is a code violation where we're from and in some of the southern states and possibly in yours. You could find out by asking your codes. But this right here has to be on wood, as does this. If you look, the bottom piece of siding comes and stops here. And then we have concrete underneath. Okay, so that's concrete. What we're going to do is we're going to look down in this section for what we said before, dirt daubers, or what we call mud tunnels. These are a form of bee or a wasp that form these little mud tunnels, and they use them for nests, and termites use them to get from the ground into the wood. And remember, here in the state of Georgia and in a lot of southern states, they go from ground to wood, whereas other places would end up not going from the ground to wood, like in Florida and stuff. They would be even in your attic. So take these techniques and go in your attic also if you're from any of those other states. But you want to look down here and make sure that you don't have any signs of dirt daubers or the mud tunnels, as we call them, and make sure that there's no rot, and there's none here. So you would move on, making sure to inspect the entire portion of the house. Also, as per looking for code, all of your columns that are underneath your deck. See, this is a part of the house. You would have to pull this out, and actually, if you dig down far enough, you will find that this is on concrete. So this is going to be within code here, but you would have to dig this out in order for an inspector to come without having to dig it out. Then you would want to dig this out a little bit and then pour concrete up until you can see the concrete. And then you'd have no problem with code violations whatsoever. Even though this probably is code because it's on concrete, there's no visible concrete. So dig this out and bring it up. And there is no sign of termites at this point. Another alternative you may have as far as putting the concrete around these to make sure they're in code is you can also use gravel. Put 6 inches of gravel around this and termites will not penetrate gravel. Now we've come to the other side of the staircase. As you can hear and possibly see, we are on concrete. If this was not in concrete, then what you'd want to do is lift this up with some sort of a jack, like your car jack, any kind of hydraulic jack. Lift it up a couple of inches and put a concrete platform underneath. You can either buy these already made up that are about 2 inches thick and slide one under, or you can actually pour the concrete underneath. You will want to come and check bottoms of doors, things of that nature. This right here is where caulk is missing, and it's gotten to let a little bit of water in there. It is not a very serious thing at all. We would just want to put caulk on that and reseal it, but there is no major sign of rot. Okay, we would just put caulk in that and repaint it. As we talked about before, this is concrete coming up to the wood. Right, and there is definitely an amount of concrete between the wood and the ground, which is how termites normally get there, is from wood to ground. So in this particular instance, there is no code violation whatsoever here and no sign of termites. Now, this particular deck area is not considered part of the house. So even though you can see at this point here that this is dirt touching wood, since it's not a part of the house, it's not a code violation. Though for your safety, what you'd want to do is dig that out and put a concrete piece underneath it. That way giving you some sort of elevation. On decks, you're going to want to go around and make sure that every one of these is off of the ground. A lot of times you'll find decks that are put on 4x4 wooden posts. This right here is put on, these are actually metal round poles, 4-inch metal poles. So there's no violation there and no way for that to have termite damage because of the way that it's made. So when you're checking, you want to make sure that you have not wood to ground. You want to make sure that it's either, if you have the 4x4 posts, you want to make sure that they're on concrete blocks or on a concrete pad, or in this case, these are on metal poles. So you're in good shape there. What we found here is that we definitely have dirt to wood, which promotes the fact that we could have termites get in here. Now what you'd want to do is dig this out. Once you dig it out, then you'd want to put a concrete pad underneath there. Now there are signs of concrete under here, but there's not underneath that piece, as if this has shifted over at some point. So what you'd want to do is dig this area out and put a concrete pad underneath it. But as for our inspection, there is no visible signs of termite damage here. termites, remember to dig these out and go ahead and put concrete under it. And if it doesn't have concrete under here, then go ahead and lift this up or take this section off and put a concrete pad under there. You'll be glad you did. On the outside of the house, this is the lowest part of the house where the siding actually is meeting the deck. It's not at ground level, but it's just above. And this particular rot that we have found is done due to water. There is no exposed evidence here that would indicate that there was termites here. This is just water damage. And caulk and a couple of nails and maybe a piece of siding here and there would fix that up. But at this point, there's no signs of termite. One of the things that are really overlooked when you're looking at one of these kind of wooden houses is these decorative 4x4 posts. Okay, these are actually cedar, but you want to make sure that the soft ends are not gathering up water and getting rot in them, because that will attract your termites. So if you have this sort of situation at your house, make sure that it's nice and solid, and make sure that you have no visible means of sawdust or visible means of any kind of termites whatsoever. And this looks in pretty good shape. Once again, what you'd want to do is look underneath, make sure that you have concrete before wood, in which we do, and then you'd look underneath bay windows and things of that nature, and make sure that you have a good solid piece of wood under there. Whenever you have any exposed pieces that are cut at the bottom, make sure that there's no sign of entry. You want to make sure to look for sawdust as always, and holes in there, and everything will be just fine. Remember the soft exposed woods here to make sure that there's nothing getting in. Now, one of the things that I want you to remember is it's not always the house that's going to make the termites come. Sometimes termites will come because you have a log pile in your house, okay? That does not mean that they're going to attack your house. Chances are, if you have a log pile and there's termites in the logs, they're not going to come to your house because there's an abundance of food to eat right here. If you had all of this to get involved with, then why would you end up trying to go over to a concreted area and try and find your way up to wood when this is a great supply here? Now, we have inspected this log pile and we have found there to be no termites in here. But if you have a log pile around your area, chances are that's where is going to attract your termites, and if you can keep them in there, then that'll be fine. If by chance you did find termites here and there was a sign of termites in your house, then you would hire somebody like Orkin or some sort of pest control, and they would come around and put a 2-foot barrier around your entire house to stop these termites from coming from a wood pile to your house. So if you do find them in this log pile that's in your property, and you do find them on your property, then you will need to get a professional to come out and treat a 2-foot barrier around your house. On the inside of your foundation, it's made of concrete blocks such as this. One side of these are actually covered, and they would be like this, flat, whereas the other kind have these holes coming up in them. That's where your termites are going to come up and get into your wood. So this is just a visual look of what you can't see that we were showing you on top of this cap, okay, that was in the garage. It's these holes that the termites will come up in.
Why they drill the hole.
And this is why they drill the holes that would go inside these to treat with chemicals. It makes these cavities of holes in there. It puts the chemicals in there that kills the termites as they come up.
Once you've finished your termite inspection, if there's any evidence of termites, you need to estimate how much it's going to cost to repair the damage before you invest in the property. Now, once you fix up the property, you need to get a professional termite inspector to come out and look at the property, and he'll give you a termite clearance letter. This letter is going to be needed if you ever want to sell the home in the future. I hope this video has been very helpful to you. It should save you a lot of money in the investment world. And don't forget to check out our website at www.starbros.com, or you can just punch in PeteYoungs.com or TonyYoungs.com, and that should get you through. Okay, well, thank you very much, and good luck on your investing.